Hey guys, my name's Alex, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint some super fast battle-ready Tyranids in the Hive Fleet Hydra color scheme.
So the first step in painting our Gene Stealers or Tyranids is priming them. So for this paint scheme, we're going to prime them black first, and that'll work as a really nice undercoat. So I have two different kinds of black primer right here. I have Krylon Matte Black and Army Painter Matte Black. I'm going to be using the Army Painter one because the Krylon, the tip is kind of clogged up right now. I would actually recommend using Krylon because it's cheaper. It has almost the same exact effect as the Army Painter one. But yeah, Krylon is a great way to save some money. So yeah, be sure to shake up the can really well. And when you're priming the model, you want to hold the stick out or the models about 8 to 10 inches away from the spray bottle. And since the wind is blowing just a little bit this way, I'm going to stand with my back to the wind. So then it carries the vapors and the paint out so that I'm not inhaling it. There it is, about 8 to 10 inches away. And just get nice even coverage. And there we go. So that part is really easy. And now you can see the models. The detail's not clogged up at all. And now it has a nice even black coverage. So now that we've primed our models and we've given them time to dry, our first step to do is go over them in a base coat of black. Now this may seem redundant, but as you can see, some of the plastic is still showing through. And we want like a solid coverage of black. So what we're gonna do is you can take two different approaches of this. You can either use like a standard like black acrylic paint, like Abaddon Black or Matte Black. If you do that, I highly recommend using a wet palette. If you don't know how to, or what a wet palette is or how to make one, I'll include a link in the description on how to make one. But for this, the fastest way that I can think of is using contrast paint Black Templar. So yeah, just give that a good shake. And this is the fastest way in my opinion because, well, you don't have to water it down. It's already very liquid or viscous, whatever. And so we're gonna be using this. This is kind of a crappy brush, but it's a medium shade brush from Games Workshop. Now, of course, you don't have to use this exact brush, but just get like a little bit of a bigger brush. But that still allows you to retain some control. We get some paint on there. Right, not a whole ton, but you know, a good amount. And we just go over the entire model with it. And especially focusing on those the cracks and crevices, really getting in there. When you're doing this part, you don't want to like obscure the detail too much. So make sure to go back like these like little areas where there's like the cracks in the armor, kind of go like this, just to you know, spread out the paint, maybe absorb if they got some in there a little bit, like a little bit too much. Yep, just go over the entire model. Doing that, really focusing on those recesses. So now that we've got our Gene Stealer all base coated in a uniform Black Templar color, we're gonna move on to the next stage of dry brushing. So here I have like a flat or a wide brush. This is a size 4. Brush sizes vary a lot just depending on the company, but this is just like a really cheap one I got at like Walmart or something like that. But yeah, you don't need a super expensive brush or nothing like that. So our first step is going to be dry brushing Eshin Gray. Give the pot a good shake. So for dry brushing, it's very easy. You just need a dry brush. It cannot be wet. You know, your paint, you dip just the head of the brush like that into the paint. Then you need a dry paper towel and you brush off most of the pigment and kind of working it into the brush. So now you can see it leaves a trail like that, right? And that's what we're going to be doing all over this model. So then what we'll be doing is picking out all of the raised areas and leaving those shadows as pure black. And we're doing this because you want to distinguish the shadows from the highlights. So yeah, this dry brushing stage is super quick.
Just do that all over the model like I just have. And now you can already see, like right in here in the carapace, the shadows between inside like of these like little ridges right here and like the outside of the carapace on the edges. So yep, I'm gonna do that on my other models and then we'll be right back. So that stage is complete. I've done that with my other models here. And the next step is, oh, I should say, do not wash your brush in between this stage or the previous stage and this stage. You want the dry brush still. If it's moist, like you can try it if it's moist, I guess, but you want the brush dry to get this effect. So we're gonna use Dawnstone and do the exact same thing. Try a little bit lighter this time, so don't press down as hard. But this time we're going to be focusing on just like the little carapace bits. So like back here, it's okay if it hits the arms and stuff too a little bit. We're gonna go over that later. But really just be focusing on these areas. So that I know the back part of the carapace and some of the claws. Just hit them up a little bit. And like this little forehead thing. Yep. So we're gonna do that to all of our models and then we'll be right back. Now we have that stage complete. You can wash this brush now. You can continue to use this brush, I guess, if you want for the next stage, but I'm gonna be switching out my brushes to this one. It's a more round one. I don't know, I find that it allows me to get like a more controlled kind of like brush instead of like this one where it's like super wide. So this one, again, I'm sure you could find a cheaper version. I just have this, I think this is, I think Games and Gears, I'm not quite sure. But it's like a circle or a round dry brush that I have. I've had this one for a while, so it's kind of like starting to fray. But as you can see, it's like a circle. So the next step is we're gonna be working on like the skin, but like the arms and stuff. We're gonna be doing McCrag Blue. And once more, dry brushing. So the reason for all this dry brushing is, well, it's a super fast method of painting, and you get a really good result very quickly, and it's like instant shading almost. So there we go. We want a little bit heavy, but just be very deliberate with where you're placing these. So we're gonna hit all these arms. So we're gonna hit all these arms and the underside, and this one we're probably not gonna do because it's too obscured, but like right for this guy, hit the underside right here. And seriously, like, don't worry if you get it on like the armor or like the carapace or like the head or the hands or anything like that. Like, don't worry about it at all. You can always go back over top of it. But yeah, so we're gonna continue this process over all the blue areas and then we'll be back. So that process is now done. What we're gonna do is highlight that blue using Aldorf Guard Blue. So I'm gonna do the same exact process of dry brushing again, but this time we're gonna be doing like a highlight of it. And what I mean by that is like take the model, put it under like a light maybe, and just see where the light would hit. You don't actually have to put it under light, I guess, but just like imagine the light coming down. It would probably hit like the top areas here and like here and here, right? So we're gonna be dry brushing those areas and go top down like this. Just like that. Very easy. So you may be able to tell here now that this area is darker than this blue, especially like up on the raised shoulder areas. So yeah, just go around your gene stealers, your Tyranids, whatever, and do all that. So that stage is now done. Again, don't wash this brush. I mean, you could if you wanted to, or get a new brush, but what we're gonna do is do the purple areas next. And I'm gonna keep this same brush. It still has some of that blue pigment in there, but I think it'll look nice mixing it with this purple kind of pigment that we're gonna be working with next. So we're gonna be using Azurius Purple. So for this color, we're gonna be picking out all of like the hands and the head and like all these like flesh areas. So kind of brush off just a little bit just to get some of that pigment out, because you don't want a whole ton. Again, you get some on the tip of your brush or on the head. Brush off a good amount, and then work at all of these areas that are purple. So like all the hands and feet and the heads. Don't worry about like if you hit the nails or anything like that, it's just fine. Same with the head, or like the little part on the head, it's just fine. We're gonna go back and touch that up later. If you can avoid it, but it's fine if it hits it. So, yep, we're gonna go do that with all the models and then we'll be right back. All right, so with that stage done, we're looking all right so far. So what we're gonna do next, oh yeah, before we move on to the next color though, I'd like to say that this covers kind of like that last stage covered kind of dark. So I hit the tops of the heads like right here, like 2 times with that dry brushing, just to make it a little more bold with that base color. So our next step, before we do our next step, make sure to go like this quite well with your dry brush, just to get some of that pigment off so it doesn't darken down this next stage. But we're gonna be using Genestealer Purple, how pretty fitting, and doing the same thing like we did with the second coat of the Eldorf Blue. Gonna be brushing this off. Still quite a good amount on the bristles, and highlighting all of these areas of purple. I also have to say that so this is kind of like a more grim dark kind of scheme. So we're gonna be using like the shadows to our advantage. So like any parts that you can't reach, don't worry about, or you can't reach or it can't like see just taking a glance at it, don't worry about painting it. So like under here, you can see I didn't even touch the carapace under there, because well, it's gonna be a pain in the butt to try to paint that area. And also I just like, no one's gonna ever look in there to see if you painted it, unless you're painting for a competition or display, of course. And like you want it to look really nice, but at that point you'd be spending like 2 hours per Genestealer, and you wouldn't be doing like a grim dark scheme like this. So yeah, just go around your Genestealer or your Tyranid and pick out all those purple areas once more. So that stage is now complete, and the model is coming together nicely. So I would recommend doing 2 applications of Genestealer Purple, especially on the head. You can really see like the veins on the head and all that stuff. But yeah, so now we're gonna go into a little bit more detail work. So, you know, you can wash your dry brush now. So now you can use the wet palette if you would like, but I'm just gonna go straight from the pot and you'll see why. So I'm gonna use like a little more fine detail brush. This, as you can tell, this brush isn't like super small. It just has a really nice point to it. It's somewhat skinny like the body is. So what we're gonna do is take our Eldorf Guard Blue and pick out some of these raised areas. So we're gonna just dip the brush in just a tiny bit, as you can see. Right, there's not a whole ton on the brush. And if you do, you just go like this. Now there's a lot less on the brush, but there's still enough pigment. So what we're gonna do is pick out these highlight areas, like the big flat areas, just like this, and just go over it and kind of like glaze the area. This is future Alex here during editing, and I kind of did a bad job of explaining this during the video. But what this is doing is glazing, and what that is building up with very thin layers of paint to increase the vibrancy of a color. So this is, we're glazing this. It's a very like hasty glaze, and because, well, this is a speed paint, but this will help boost the color of that blue and boost the vibrancy of it. So once this is complete, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so that stage is done with the highlights. A quick note about that, so you want to go like relatively fast with those. Don't be too worried about being super neat or clean or precise or nothing like that. Just go very fast, like the impressionist style of like real actual canvas painting. You just want to be establishing some colors like really fast. Yeah, don't overthink it too much. Also, this is supposed to be like a batch painting or like a speed painting technique. So like if you miss an area, don't worry about it. Like, I don't think I highlighted some of the colors like in here or something like that. I don't know, it doesn't really matter that much because you're gonna be looking at the models like as a whole. And when it's all like said and done, it's gonna look really cool anyway. So what we're gonna do next is take Azurius Purple, and we're gonna go into all the areas using the same kind of technique that we just used. Again, you can use your wet palette if you want to. I'm just using like my thumb, just because it's a little faster. Just get paint on the brush so that it's like on there, but not like a huge glob of paint. And we're just gonna be picking out these little areas like right here. So the key to this stage is like control. So like you see, I might have gotten like a little dot there. It's fine, it's whatever really. It's one gene stealer out of like 20, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, just pick out these areas. You gotta be a little more deliberate with them, and be using the tip of your brush to pick out these little areas. But yeah, just like that, super easy. Don't sweat it. Just knock them out. All right, but yeah, once I pick out all these areas, we'll do the highlights of them. So with that stage complete, we're gonna do the exact same thing to all those same areas with Gene Stealer Purple. I also forgot to mention that we're gonna pick out all these areas in here as well, like the joints. But yeah, we're gonna do that with Gene Stealer Purple, and we'll be right back. So with that step complete, what we're gonna do next is continue to use Gene Stealer Purple. Oh yeah, also wash your brush in between steps because you don't need the brush to be dry, and you want to retain that fine point. Our next step is to do some basic highlights and the tongue. So, once more, getting that on there. We're gonna be painting or highlighting the face. So like areas like this cheekbone right here. Paint that, maybe the jaw. These like little lines right there. Yep, and then these like little veins here. Sorry for that voice crack. But yeah, we're gonna continue. And then we're gonna do that glazing kind of technique again on the forehead. Or not the forehead, but the good old noggin. Just brings the color up just a little bit. So yep, I'm gonna do that. Oh, I'm just gonna do those highlights on the face. Of course you can do those highlights on the hands and stuff too if you would like, but I'm just gonna stick to the head just because this is meant to be a speed paint. And that's also the focal point of the miniature is the head. So yep, I'm gonna do that on the other models and then we'll be right back. I also forgot to mention earlier with this Gene Stealer Purple, we're gonna be picking out the tongue as well. Makes it very vibrant. But yeah, on to our second to last step. We're going to be picking out the eyes now. So now, like, I'm gonna use this brush again, just because I'm a little more experienced. If you think you can handle it, go for it. But we're gonna be painting the eyes now. If you wanna use a finer tip brush, that's all good. Just whatever you're comfortable with. So we're gonna get white scar out. But yeah, like this is good, like Army Painter, like pure white or whatever, something like that. Just like the whitest white that you can find is great for this task. So we're gonna be getting like a good amount on the brush. You can see there's kind of like, not a bead, but like a little bulge there. So then we're going to pick out the eyeball. It's kind of hard to do it with this camera rig. So there we go. There's one little dot right there. Sorry, it's kind of shaking. Yep. So now we're gonna do this with the rest of the eyeballs. But yeah, if you mess up on this stage, no worries at all. You just go over it with the normal black paint. This one or this one, just whatever black you have. Go over it with that so you can't see the mistake. And then you go over it with Azurius Purple, and then it looks just normal. Or like, you know, just the way it was before. So we're gonna do all these eyeballs and then onto the last step. And we're back. Thankfully, I did not mess up any of those eyes. A truly rare occasion. But yeah, now we're on to our next step. We're gonna be going back to the Dawn Stone. And what we're gonna do is just highlight all of the gray areas. So we're gonna take this. Again, you can use your wet palette if you want. I'm not going to. It's up to you. And select the nails. I'm gonna highlight those. And these are just like really fast highlights. A trick to getting like fast highlights down, especially for like something like this, is so like go at the miniature like this. So like if this is like, I don't know, a claw, right? You paint it like this, right? Not like this, but like this. It's just a really fast way of getting highlights down. So like you can see this claw right here, right? I'm gonna go at it like this. Right? And there's your highlight. Super fast, super efficient, and that's exactly what we're going for. You don't need to do too much of a highlight, just so that it like kind of looks cool, honestly, because that's kind of what we're going here, is like speed and like the rule of cool. So yeah, like I'm gonna pick out all these areas here, along with like down here, like along these sides. So like as you can see, I kind of messed up a little bit here, which is just fine. I'm just gonna take a black and then just paint over that little area. So yeah, I'm gonna do that for all the claws and the carapace, and then I'm gonna do the metal on here. But yeah, and then as soon as that's done, you got a finished Gene Stealer. Last thing before we cut to the end of the video, I also like to mention that you got to pick out the little head plate, whatever it's called, with this Dawn Stone. But yeah, I also forgot to mention to pick out the teeth with this Dawn Stone color as well. But yeah, as you can see, it's kind of coming together really nicely. Yeah, and I'll have some nice pictures to end the video. So that's it for this video, guys. Remember that this is supposed to be like a fast speed paint, grim dark kind of look to the models. And yeah, I hope that this video can help you out, and thanks for watching.